everybody to 1 hour of miniature goodness, and tonight we have our Reaper miniatures and we're continuing with our sets, our diorama sets, or our gaming boards as I call it. Now, as you all know, Reaper Miniatures did the Bones 5 and they released loads of fantastic sets, so every single set I'm going to make a little gaming board. Now I'll quickly say hello to everybody in chat. It's already shot up a lot. I know Sculptor's there, Michelle's at the top somewhere, Rod's in the house, Cold Air, isn't that? Hello Cold Air, Bull GM, and it's all it's all shot up already, I can't see anybody. Thank you for subscribing. Oh, that's a gift sub to Mr. Frog. Okay, I'll leave chat do its thing because it's just shooting up, but I can't see anything now. Oh, Renegade Check and Nate's in the house. Diablo Femi, hello. Ah, it's Dawn, is it? Hello, Dawn. Crypt Monkey Studios. Okay, so tonight let's move on. This is a fantastic little set from Reaper Miniatures. You get two large spiders. You get some decomposing bodies that are wrapped in silk, and you also get some little humans that have been wrapped up, ready to be eaten, and all the juices. They're very moist. And we also get the main part, which is a two-part, actually it's 3 parts. You stick these 2 parts on and the back, and this little bit goes in there like so. Now you also get 2 little spiders, but I had one little spider that decided to run off somewhere. I don't know what happened, but he was in my workshop, but he's wriggled off. I'll probably find him whenever, but he's probably hiding in one of the paint pots or under the floorboards or somewhere, but he disappeared and he hasn't come back. Also, before I start today, I want to give a huge shout out to Carol, Gareth and Jake. These are 3 of my Goblin patrons, and all 3 of them won medals in the Reapercon competitions for their painting competitions. I am so proud of my goblins for entering the competition, because it does take a lot to enter competitions, and it is nerve-wracking. But all three of them that went, they all went home with medals, you know, bronzes and silvers. It's absolutely fantastic, and I am so proud that I might have inspired them a little bit to carry on painting, and with winning these medals, it will inspire them to paint more. Now, talking of Gareth, Gareth is Gareth the Star Wars man, as I call him. He paints all my Star Wars Legion miniatures for me, and I know it sounds crazy that I actually get someone else to paint my miniatures, but like I say many times before, just because I'm a professional painter does not mean I want fantastic miniatures painted by somebody else. And Gareth paints all my Star Wars Legion miniatures, and it's a joy for me to have miniatures like I send to you guys. You buy miniatures from me, and for me to have miniatures sent to myself is also something very special as well. Okay, so moving on, I'll take this off here. What we're using today is the main thing we're doing today is clay work. So I'm going to have very moist fingers, and there's going to be clay and a mess everywhere. But I got this old board here. This is an MDF board. This is a 10 by 6 inch MDF board, and what we're going to be using is some Fimo Air, not Fimo Air basic clay. Now this clay is very affordable. It's about four to £5 for this one large pack of clay. Now you can get cheaper versions or more expensive versions of the clay. It's really up to you. But with Fimo clay, it's an air drying clay. You don't need to put it into the oven or kiln, as they say, to harden the clay. It does take between 24 and 48 hours to dry. For making model dioramas or gaming boards, it's absolutely fantastic, and I love working with it, but it is quite delicate. It takes acrylic paint really well as well, so you can paint with all your different acrylics, and that will work absolutely fantastic. One other thing you need to do is, once you've taken it out of the packet, you need to put it in a sealed container like so. Now this is my last packet of clay, and as you can see, it's been in a sealed container for weeks now, and look, it's lovely and juicy, that's still usable perfectly well. So what we'll do is, while we got that box out, I shall go back here and we shall open this up. Now, air drying clay is fantastic. It is quite heavy. It's not really recommended if you are like me and you paint miniatures and sell them. It's not brilliant for posting. It's okay if you do small bases. Thank you everybody for subscribing, and thank you for the gift subs. I think it was Michelle and the Bull GM have been given gift subs. Thank you so much for that. It's nice, a nice big wad of nice fresh clay. Look at that. That's gorgeous, eh? Okay, so what we're going to do with this clay is I'm going to rip this. I'm going to rip this in half. I'm going to chuck that in there, and we're going to play with this big chunk today. Reaper John's in the house? Someone's just given Reaper John a free sub. What you all like? Awesome stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to build up this miniature, because the actual miniature itself is absolutely fantastic. But what we're going to do is actually build up that miniature and make it into a little gaming board. So again, I'm taking some more clay out, and I'm just going to half this clay. And we'll just work that onto the board. Now, clay is absolutely amazing to work with. It's pliable, and you can do whatever you like. And all you need for the tools for using the clay, all you need is a little wooden stick. You can use the ends of paintbrushes, which I'm going to show you today, because with this spiders type area, I want to have that poisoned rock where the rock has been corroded away, like you see in Lord of the Rings. If you look at Shelob's lair in Lord of the Rings, you'll see all the walls of the actual spider's lair. They've all got little pit holes in, and that's from like the acid and all the poison dripping down onto the rocks and making little indentations on all the rocks. So that's what we're going to go for today. I'm going to add more steps as well. So my first thing is I need to make this a little bit higher. Now, I'm not shy with my clay. I like to use lots of clay and build up the base. So we're just pushing this on. Now, another thing with air drying clay is, once you've added the air drying clay to your board, what will happen is it will come away from the board once it's dry. Now, I always keep repeating myself on this, and it's a good way for everybody to learn. It's just to remind you how it all goes together and how the clay works. But once that's dry, what you can do is you take it away from the board, you just use ordinary PVA glue, and you can stick it back on the board and it won't go anywhere. Hype trains. It doesn't take long to make a lovely diorama as well. So we're just making the basic look so far. What we do is start sculpting in with our water. We're just using the miniature for size comparison. Now, everything always looks a bit weird when you first start a miniature, but never be put off. If you are making dioramas or anything like I'm doing, just keep going, and what will happen is it all suddenly takes shape. I mean, you saw the troll bridge when I did my troll bridge last week. When I first initially showed you the troll bridge, there wasn't much to look at. It was just the foam board, and then all of a sudden it starts to take shape and things start working, and you just add more bits here and there. And let me just grab a little bit more clay. What we're just trying to do is make sure we've got a platform for this actual miniature. Thank you for subscribing, Dawn. Now there's lots of people in chat tonight. They've also got Twitch channels as well. Now Dawn, who has just subscribed, she's got a lovely little channel, and she's painting Reaper miniatures as well. Reaper is hot at the minute. Reaper is hot stuff. I've actually changed my Twitch streams now. I was doing WizKids on a Thursday, but because I have so much to paint and so many awesome miniatures to do from Reaper at the minute, I need to concentrate on all these Reaper, especially when most of my Goblin patrons are on a tier where I send them Reaper miniatures anyway. So I need to just keep at Reaper. I think it'll be Reaper for a very long time now, because I have thousands of miniatures to go through. Okay, so that's roughly the basis of where this, like, as we could call it, the altar, and that's going to be inside there like so. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just trying to work out placement of where the parts are going to go and what we can add, what we can take away. So we've got our little Spideys as well. Now one of these spiders, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him coming down from the roof like so, on the top there. So that'll look nice. That'll look nice there. But we need to build up some more rocks. So what we need here is I want to give it. I want to make it look like the spiders have really taken over this part of like the crypt. So we're just going to work out certain places. I'm just putting the clay where I want builds and mounds on the bottom of the base. Just put this there. What we can do is we can sink these parts in, and we can push that down and into the clay, and that'll work well there. Now here, what it is, I want an area where there's a kind of a hole in one of the kind of rocks, and it could be an area where the spiders are like coming out of the ground, and just coming into the lair. So we could have like a little, just like a little, let's get some a little bit more. Just take that around. Let's build that up there, because we can paint that dark in the middle. If we paint that black, that'll make it look like it's a deep hole going down. So we'll just keep that there for now, and we'll just add some more clay around there. Okay, this is coming on nicely. Okay, I'm quite happy so far. Okay, so what we can do now is we can start sculpting and making different parts of this work. Now I've also got these little matchsticks. Now what I'll do in tonight's show, I'm just going to be doing the base and showing you where I'm going to put all the placements, and we'll start sculpting the clay. But also I got a little trick. I don't know if any of you, quite a few of you are quite long-term supporters of mine. I don't know if you remember back in 2017 back in 2017, I made all the Reaper miniature spider layers. I made the giant Reaper miniature spiders. We had the small spiders, medium spiders, and if you remember, I made those dioramas back in the day. And Halloween is coming up. And Halloween is just amazing because you can go to the shops. Now, if you go to the shops coming up to a Halloween, you'll be able to pick up those it's like a fiber spider web, and you hang them from the walls and stuff, and it's like a very, very fine web, and you can stretch it and pull it. Now the idea is, if I add these little twigs, little matchsticks, I'll cut them to size, and we just put them around the base, that will give something for that webbing to adhere to. Now in part 2 we'll finish it, we'll get this all finished on Thursday, and I'll add that webbing. We just need to get to the shop so I can get some of the webbing, but what we'll do is I'll show you that webbing, and it just really gives a lovely effect, and it looks like spider webbing everywhere. So we can just if we have all these little sticks coming out, so for example, I'll put that in there like so at the back. That we'll paint that brown and it'll look like an old piece of wood or whatever, but what will happen is I'll wrap the spider's web in the silk, and that'll be attached to the top, and then we'll bring it down, and it'll all go around the base as well, and it just makes it look beautiful. Now if you've been following me on Twitter, you've probably seen the pictures of my spider caves, where I've got all the webbing. So I'll probably repost those pictures in the next few days so you can see what I'm talking about. But trust me, on Thursday when you see the webbing, hopefully I can get hold of some. What's happened is I've run out, but because of the time of year, I should think the small pound shops and stuff will start selling their Halloween stuff again. Okay, so all we need to start sculpting our base is a wooden stick. We've got some water here. Now water is really important because what happens is that keeps all the clay moist, and it means you can also get rid of all your little fingerprints. Now what I'm going to do is, you see the steps here, what we're going to do, we're going to carry on with those steps, and we're going to start bringing it down, and bringing it down to about here, just to make it a little bit larger and bulk it up a little bit. So what we're going to do is just going to follow the outline of the initial step, and we'll start to take it away. What we can do is we can push down with the clay and move it out the way, and we can kind of bring those steps and start working them down the clay to actually, so it blends in with the rest of the miniature. I mean, once this is all sprayed and painted the same color, it'll all blend in beautiful. Put a bit of water on the old tool there, and we can smooth out the tops of the clay just to make that into a flatter step. Again, along the sides, and we'll move down to another step here. So what we'll do is we'll just keep on going down, and one more like so. We'll take this off here just so it flattens. And what we can do, we can take this away a little bit, push that down so that step comes up. Now we don't, because the steps are all broken, we don't have to worry about it being perfect. We can just follow the outline roughly of the steps, just so you get the initial, you can see those steps kind of in the rock there, and that will come down and work with what we're doing. Okay, we'll move down here. What we're going to do is we're going to try and bring the steps out a little bit more. So we're just working that clay, and the water is working perfectly for us. Now this bottom step here, this is all broken, so we're going to just push that down a little bit. And we'll give it an edge. We'll give it an edge just at the bottom there, just by bringing up the clay and just going along with the top of the tool. We can take away a little bit of clay and leave a nice straight edge. That gives us a nice kind of step. Okay, I think we'll do one more step just here. Just bring it down once more. So this time we shall again just go like so. In fact, what we can do is we can do it like an angled last step. Just giving it an edge so it shows up when we paint it. Just flatten that part over. This will look all worn as well then, and it'll blend in with the rest of the sculpt. Just take away the excess clay on the top there, leaving a nice flat surface, so it looks like it's been walked on a lot, worn on. And we just flatten the edge there a little bit, and again taking away the clay. Okay, so what we're going to do now is going to start working on the rocks going around. Choo choo! And once again, all we're doing now is we're using the same tool, and we're just going to start smoothing over the rocks, and we're going to give them little edges as well so they look more like rocks. And it also takes away any fingerprints that I've just left, so we can just slowly smooth over. Okay, what I want to show you as well is that effect I was talking about where the rocks are kind of worn away. And let me get a little bit more clay so I can show you that. I'll just take a little bit more clay. Now to make it look even more spiderish, what we'll do is we'll add another little rock here, just on the front there. Move that back a little bit. Now it's just going onto the edge. And we just plonk that there. Remember, I'll be re-gluing everything on this base. But what we do is a very simple thing. We've got our end of our paintbrush, which is round. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to push that into the clay. And I'm going to just go all the way. Let me just show you a bit better. 1 second. Just going to go over the clay and push in, making an indentation, twiddle it around, go to the next one, twiddle it around. Now what happens with this, it makes the rock look like it's been dripped with the acid or poison from the spiders. So what we're doing is we're just going over the same area. We just want to make the rocks look like they've been eroded away, should I say. I think that's the right word. So we're just using the end of my paintbrush, and we're just pushing that into the clay, just to give indentations. There we are. This just gives a nice texture to these rocks. You can just imagine the spider has been wriggling over all the rocks, so you got that nice little effect. Like river rocks. Yes, Rod. Hello, Rod. And Long Stripy Scarf. Welcome, everybody who I haven't said hello to. I hope everybody had a beautiful weekend. I hope you enjoyed Reapermini. I was watching Reapermini on Twitch. Now the reason I'm using water all the time is because what happens if I use dry tools, or if I use the dry end of the paintbrush, what will happen is what will happen is the clay will just stick and pull away with my sculpt. So I'm trying to keep by using the water, that stops the actual clay from stops it from sticking to your tools. Now I'm only going to do this in different places, and of course we use different sized paintbrushes. What we're looking for is just we just want patches of rock that have been corroded away by hundreds of years of spiders or whatever taken away. So I'm going to do this without awesome stuff. I am actually sending a starter set to Renegade Shank. Now I paint I paint hundreds of miniatures for Renegade Shank. So what's going to happen is I am going to try and get him to start painting as well. So that's going to be fun because Renegade Shank's the nutcase. Okay, I'm using a smaller size paintbrush now. As you can see, the tools of the trade, you don't need to buy all the most expensive tools. You can buy expensive tools, but all you're looking for when you're working with clay is edges. You've got round edges. You can use whatever you like, things from the kitchen. It doesn't really matter. All you're looking for is different sized tools that you can get different textures and effects with what you're doing. So by just going from one large paintbrush to a smaller paintbrush, we're getting different size areas of this, as I call it, I don't know what the correct word is. All I know is when you see all these films, especially Lord of the Rings, Shelob's lair is covered in all these little pit holes. So my brain was thinking that must be from the acid or the poison that Shelob drips, and it's corroded away the walls. But I loved the texture that was in the film, so I wanted to reproduce that look on my miniature, and that's what we're doing. Just by using the two different size brush handles, we can just keep on adding more and more texture. Once this has all been painted up as well, what will happen is all those dark recesses, they all show up so much nicer as well. Okay, so we'll move around now. We'll go back to this, but this part here, my idea is that the little spiders, this will be like a little hole in the ground, and the little spiders are going to start pouring out this hole. So if someone approaches this part of the gaming board, these spiders will have somewhere where they can come out and start attacking my players. Okay, so let's start building this now. We need to start smoothing again in a minute, but I just want to get all these indentations in. Like I say, I'm just doing it in patches so you can actually see smooth rock and then rough rock going around my little gaming board here. Thank you for following. And like I say, if you are thinking of making any dioramas or gaming boards, air drying clay is fantastic. Now if you're doing a large gaming board, you will find it is too heavy and bulky. So on a board this size, you can really start to make some beautiful looking dioramas or little gaming boards, as I say. And this is what we're doing today. I do highly recommend having a little play with the air drying clay, because it is great fun and it'll really bring out the flavor, the creative side of you, should I say. And like I say, you don't need expensive tools. You can use pencils, you can use knives and forks, just for different textures going around your miniature and your bases. And as you can see, I've only been working on this what 30 minutes or 20 minutes, and it's already taking shape and it's going to look fab. Once this is all finished, it will be an absolutely beautiful looking gaming board or diorama. All I know is this will be in my my display case, and I'll be very, very happy. So a little bit more of these, and then we'll have to go on back and start smoothing down this clay. So I just want to keep going around with these little pits. Now it's quite important we get all these pits done, because once the clay's dry, we're not going to be able to add these at a later date. So these you need to get done ASAP. Like I say, it does take 24 hours to dry this clay. With this thickness that I've got here, we're definitely looking at 48 hours or more. If you've got a thin pot of clay, if you're doing this size, then 24 hours, yes. But for a triple thickness like I've got here, we are looking at least a few days. Oh, are you talking about my Bailey's cheesecake? Talking of yummy food, I'm very, very excited tonight because my partner Scorpla said that she's going to be ordering us a Kentucky Fried Chicken. So we got Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's that's a midnight snack of Kentucky Fried Chicken. You can't beat that, can you? Thank you for the compliments. Yes, it doesn't take long, and this is what I'm trying to stress with you all. It doesn't take long. All I've done is I've put some clay onto the base. It just takes a little bit of imagination. You don't need to be highly skilled, that's for sure. But just by adding certain textures to the base, cutting out some steps, it's a very basic a very basic idea, but it works so well. And as you know, once this is all painted up and the base is the same color as I paint the rest of the stonework, it'll all blend in absolutely perfectly. Yes, you can, Cole, there. You're more than welcome to come over. Yes, you're definitely more than welcome to come over. I haven't seen you in forever, so if you want to pop over to visit me in Mordor, you're more than welcome. You'll have to bring your own iron brew, though, because we don't have iron brew in the house. Okay, let's move on a little bit more. Now, like I said to you, on Thursday, I'm hoping to get some of that the the Halloween. It's like spider web, and I don't know this. Does anybody know the correct name? Does anybody understand what I'm talking about for a start? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's the little. It's like a fiber stretchy spider webbing. But what I'll do is on Thursday, once this is all dry, I'll show you. Dollar Tree webbing. That's the one, Rod. Now I use that for my gaming boards because it's stretchy. But what I'm trying to explain to you is, see these little matchsticks here. What we're doing is we're just cutting these little matchsticks in half. Because while the clay is moist, that's when you can add or stick things into the clay. Now, because I'm going to add the dollar webbing, should I say, the dollar webbing? Yes, it's fake webbing, but it works perfectly for a little miniature like this. So the idea is, what we need to do is we need to stick these into the clay. Now what will happen is I shall paint those little matchsticks that I'm sticking in so they look like little bits of wood sticking out. But what will happen is I can use these pieces of wood and they will be perfect for the webbing. So we'll have the webbing attached to the top of the building here, and then it will be stretched down to this piece here, stretched down to this piece here, stretched down to that piece there, and that'll just give it a beautiful effect to that miniature. And it's a very simple thing to do, and of course that dollar webbing is really cheap, but it'll just bring out this board and make it look absolutely amazing. So I'm just hoping I can get to the shops before my Thursday Twitch show, so I can show you that. Okay, let's carry on smoothing out the areas, because that's quite important to make sure you got rid of all the little fingerprints, and just keep on smoothing out the clay. Now I will be adding some extra skulls in a minute, because what you need to do is, especially when you're working with clay, is anything you want to push into the clay, you need to do while it's wet, of course. So what we're going to do is add some skulls. I think I might add a little hidden. We got an old chest here. This is a manky old chest. So what I'm going to do with this chest is just around the back here. I'm going to just push that into the clay. I'm going to push it right down into the clay. Boom, 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 and it's down there. But once I've painted all that over that'll all blend in as well. So that clay, that little chest there, perfect. We've got a hidden chest, so we can kill all the spiders. We'll have a chest with some rare items in it, so that'll be cool. So we're nearly done for this so far. It's coming along nicely. Just making sure I'm getting rid of all the fingerprints. The worst thing you can do is leave fingerprints on clay, because what will happen is once you've painted it and then you dry brush, every single fingerprint will come up in that dry brush. So what we're doing is just making a bit of shape. We're giving a little bit of edge to all the rocks. And you can play with the clay as much as you want. There's really no. It's really sometimes it can be very difficult to say, right, that's enough. You've got to find your limit on how much you're going to add or do to your miniature. And sometimes simplicity is the best. You don't need a miniature with 10,000 things all over it to have a fantastic looking miniature or diorama. You just want, the first thing you want to see when you make a gaming board is you want to recognize what that gaming board is. So for this one, because we got all these pitted rocks and we'll have the spiders, it's going to actually look what it is, and that is a gaming board for spiders. Now I'm trying to work behind the camera here. I would go forward, but my hand will be in the way, so I'll just try and work this part here. I say just by adding water to my tool, that really works for smoothing out all the areas. Now I'm not pushing down hard. I'm actually how I'm sculpting is I'm not pushing into the clay at all. I'm actually just the weight of this wood here. That is the only weight I'm using to go over the top of the clay. Because I've added that water, that's doing the work for me, and it's smoothing the clay out. Okay, we want some more of those holes over here. So we're going to start poking this. Let's see if I can go over a bit more. See if I can get my hand around the camera. There we are. I need to make sure I don't push this off. So what we're going to do is start pushing some more holes in this part of the rock here. Okay, so we're just adding more of this pitted rock, and like I say, this is my inspiration for these pitted rocks is from Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King, where you see Shelob's lair, and all the rocks in that lair are full of these pit holes, and I just thought it was a fantastic little thing to add to my little lair. So what we're trying to do is kind of copy what I saw on film, just by doing different sized holes around the clay, and it gives a lovely texture. But I don't want it everywhere. I want to be able to keep variations in the texture. So we're just keeping it to certain parts of the mini, because I want to keep the stairs smooth. So we're just working on different parts of the rocks. I think a tiny little bit just at the front here, just a tiny indentations here, just going around. That would look nice. There we are. Okay, so what we've got now is I'm going to start adding some skulls in certain places. These are skulls from the Games Workshop box of skulls. So I'm just going to snip out these ones. I've already painted these ones, so I'm not going to use the pre-painted ones that I've done. I'm going to just take off these skulls, and we're going to start adding them around the base. Skulls look good on anything. So I'm just snipping off some skulls here, and like I say, I'll add these around the base, but what will happen is, again, once the clay has dried, they will come away from the base, so I shall be resticking everything back down with PVA glue. So just remember, if you are doing clay work, once what I've done here, once this is dry, it will fall away from the base. So everything, including the plastic and the houses there, the chest, that'll all need to be restuck back onto the base. But for now, we're just going to add more skulls, and you can actually see where this is going now. It's going to be a fantastic little diorama. Like I say, I'm making a gaming board for every single one of the sets that Reaper have done from Bones 5, so it's going to be an absolute blast. there's a few sets coming up. I don't know if anyone got the huge like a face in the mountain one. I can't remember. I actually can't remember the name. Can anybody in chat tell me the name of the massive Bones 5 gaming set that they did, which had the huge... I haven't done a review on it yet, so I haven't done my research, but it's a massive great face on it. Oh, that's it. Nath, thank you, Nath, and hi, Nath, as well, and Ty. Hello, Ty. How would you web the small holes to look like nests? Well, if you look on the main actual, if you look at the main actual boards here, the actual miniature here, they've actually got little egg nests. So what we're going to do is I'm going to roll little balls of clay, like so, little balls of clay. In fact, we'll do that in a minute if we got time. I'm going to make little nests like so, and they're going to be dotted around, like a couple on the steps here, and then they'll just be painted white. So that'll be very cool. Okay, so we'll add a few more skulls. Now for the skulls I'm adding is some tweezers. Let's go down here, take that out a bit. So what we're doing is we're just in different places, we'll just add a few skulls, maybe one there. Little skull on the step. It's always good to have a few skulls just dotted around on the stairs. Always builds confidence in players when they see human skulls dotted around on the stairs. I know Tal, one of my party players that I play with. He likes to run away from all battles, a bit like me, really. He's gonna kill me. Okay, so we're just adding a few more skulls. Well, I hope you all are enjoying my little builds. I am actually having so much fun doing this. We could have one stuck in there. Look, let's see. We can just put one in one of the indentations in the. There we are. Just go in there. Have a little skull just popping out of one of the holes. Okay, so now we just need one more. Like I said, I got big biker stodgy fingers, so it's quite difficult for me to actually grab these tiny little... There you go. As he drops it. So I tried to use tweezers, but you actually got to be a master using tweezers as well. There we go. We'll do one more skull for now. Let me just put that one there for now. I'm just basically showing you all the different things you can add. Now you're talking about egg sacs. Moist egg sacs. Now what we're going to do for the eggs, now if we zoom in again, as you can see on the sculptor has made fantastic little egg sacs going around. So what we're going to do, we've got a little bit of clay, move that back out, and we're going to start making our own little egg sacs. So all I'm going to do is roughly get a same size, like so, tiny little ball, and we're just going to make it into an egg. And we just look at the size of those ones. We'll take off the clay, so we want to try and get it roughly the same, a little bit more off there. I'll just push it down, and what we're going to do, we've got a little egg there, and then we can start adding our own little egg sacs. and they'll start going down the stairs. Hello, Goblin Squire. Hope you're okay. Okay, again, we'll make some more little eggs. Now, what I'll be doing, the egg sacs will be painted. The egg sacs will be painted. Thank you for following. The egg sacs will be painted white. And then what will happen is they will have a black ink wash over the top. And then they'll be highlighted with little white areas. But that's all I really need to do for the eggs, for the sacs, for the for the eggs. I can't get my words out. Okay, so we'll do a few more little egg sacs. Like I say, all you're doing for the eggs, you're just making little eggs. So you start off with a little round ball. So look, we just little round ball, small and neat, and then we just twiddle it in our fingers to make it more into an egg shape. And we just elongate it a little bit, so we've got a nice little egg shape, and that's a little fat. And out of that, oh bollocks! Oh, excuse my language. and out of this, we get a beautiful little egg, a little spider egg. Now, talking of spiders, I just got some spiders in my Conan game, but I was hoping to get greater pet spiders, but I ended up with some baby little spiders, so I'm gonna have to get some more spiders for that. But as you can see, we're not going to add too many. Look, on the actual sculpt, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 little spider eggs there. So what we're going to do is just leave it like that. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got another 4 eggs going down the stairs a little bit, and I'll paint them to match exactly the same as on the sculpt there. Okay, so let's carry on smoothing off our clay. Like I say, what happens is as the clay slowly dries, it will turn a little bit with a hint of white, but what you can do then is you can actually see where your fingerprints are or any mistakes, and then we can just go over with our water. Okay, so far on our little gaming board, we have now got encrusted rocks. We have made steps. We have a hidden treasure chest behind. We've also got this little cave entrance here. Now this cave entrance will be for the spiders to come scuttering out of the caves and attack any party members that are getting on your nerves. And of course we've added these matchsticks here. Now I'm only putting 3 matchsticks. I might add a few more, but I think 3 is enough, because what will happen is once I get that pound shop webbing, we'll add the webbing from the top and we can attach it to these poles, and that'll give us something to work from. And having the webbing going down will look absolutely fantastic. It'll just set the backdrop off to this miniature perfectly. Hello and welcome everybody to 1 hour of miniature goodness, and today we are carrying on with our little gaming board, the Spiders of Emrith Kul. As you can see, I've added some, let's have a look, Dragon Black from MSP Paints. I've covered the whole of the base in black ready for today, so we can just crack on in and start painting. Now I'll quickly say to everybody in chat, and I've already lost a lot of you, but I know my Scorpla's at the top there, and I know Michelle's up there, the Bull GM, Rod's in the house, Gareth the Star Wars man's in the house, Tal's in the house, Mechanical Frog's in the house. Loving your videos, by the way, Mechanical Frog, keep them up. And you have such a lovely voice to listen to. I have to say, I was I was showing my partner Scorpler your videos on YouTube the other day, and I was saying, "God, I could listen to his voice all day long." So yes, well done you. Okay, so let's make a start. What we're going to do is we're going to add some stone grey. So I'm going to get some paints on the palette, and then we'll fly into the painting. So for the main colours today, I'm using some stone grey by MSP. We got some pure black. We got some skeleton bone. We got my wood stain brown. Dragon white, cat's eye green, dragon green, lots of different colours, but it's really just for adding to the base. Very, very simple paint. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fill my palette up with lovely colours. I'll get some grey on there. I'm going to leave the lid on in case I need some more. I'm going to add some dragon white to the mix as well on my palette. Oh, and hello Connor. I missed Connor. I can see Connor there. And Odysseys. Hello to you as well. Once I get all the paint on the palette, we'll make a start. And just try not to laugh and stab myself with the pokey stick. Oh, and a huge shout out to Rod, by the way. He sent me his Skull and Bones pokey stick, and it's painted beautifully. So I actually because it's painted so nicely, I don't actually want to use it because I don't want to get any paint on it. It's going in my display cabinet. So I get some pure black on there in case we need it. The pokey sticks are awesome stuff, but Rod has sent me his pokey stick. It is absolutely beautiful. I'll take a picture of it and post it on Twitter, but it's really, really nice. Okay, that'll do us for now. Now, today I'm using the Game Master brush. It's a little bit bigger than what I normally use, but it's got a softer head. It's a lot softer. This one's a bit more coarse, so we're going for a larger brush. So all we're doing, I've got my little tissue here. Now I've got this on a little roll of tape because I still can't find my spinny table. My spinny table has spun off somewhere. So what I can do, I can actually move this around a little bit more easier than it being on the actual desktop. So let's get this in there, get some grey, and let's make a start. So the first thing we do is get plenty of paint on the brush because we're going to give this a good heavy grey. And I'm really, really excited because Scorpler managed to get me a pack of the spider webbing. Oh yes, spider. Pew, pew. So we're gonna be shooting webbing everywhere today. That sounds terrible. So we just go, this brush is gorgeous. Oh my god, this is nice. This is a Game Master brush by Army Painter. And as you can see, it's really doing a nice job getting that paint onto the miniature. So all we're doing is just going all the way around, getting that paint on nice and heavy. We can pick out the details later. Remember, we're using that black to our advantage. The black is what's going to be causing all the shadows on this miniature. But the main thing now is just to keep going down to the brush and getting that grey on. And it's like I said to you before, when we did this on Monday, I made the clay base on Monday. It's taken a few days for the clay to dry, and it's all dry now, as you can tell. But I said to you, once you have added all the primer coat, everything just kind of blends into place. Initially, it may look a little bit of a mess, what you're doing with your clay work. But like I say, there is method in the madness. And once you've added the primer coat, all those different mismatch of colours of the clay and the plastic, they all suddenly blend together and the miniature starts to come alive. So don't put yourself off when you're making your minis. Now the back of the miniature is not too important because we're going to have that webbing on there. So we are still going to paint the back, of course, but we don't have to worry too much because there will be webbing. And this is why I added all these little matchsticks, because we can attach the webbing to all these little matchsticks. Knight of Wrath, hello. It's a nice little set. What I'll be doing is I shall be finishing this off today. What I don't finish in the stream today, I shall finish off and then post the finished 360 for you all. But what will happen is I shall put a poll up later in the week for next Monday's show, and we shall do another one of the dioramas and the gaming boards. So what we're going to do is go through every single one of the Reaper sets that were from the Bones 5 Kickstarter, and we're going to make a gaming board from every set. So what I'll do, I'll put that poll out, and you guys and girls can decide what you'd like to see for the Monday show, what we'll start on for the next one. Okay, that's good. So we've got a nice heavy coat on there for our first initial layer. At least I'm using the black to my advantage, and we're keeping all the recesses with that dark, and that makes a nice shadow. So we just keep that as it is. But we're just covering the whole miniature with a little layer of grey. And we just keep on spinning it round and around. As you can see, I'm keeping that totally black inside there. I made this little, like a little cave. What's going to happen is one of my spiders, that'll just come out of the cave. So if we keep that dark, keep that as dark as possible inside here, just the outside of the little entrance, should I say. We don't add any paint to the inside. That'll give that depth to that cave where the spider is coming out. Okay, right, I'm going to add a little bit of white now to the grey, and we're going to start making it a little bit lighter in places. And remember, I always work my miniatures so the light source is coming down. So we're going to add some more grey to the tissue, a little bit of white, and just mix that in. And again, we'll start working our way around the board. I need to add a little bit more white to my palette now. 1 second. Got dragon white there. Any chance it could be a goblin stuck in the webbing? Yes, it could well be a goblin stuck in the webbing. I shall look into that. My paint doesn't want to come out of the pot today. Give it another little pokey stick. There we go. Yeah, that's it. Okay, a little bit of white. Adding that there. And again, we'll start from the top and work our way around. And a lot lighter now with the brush, and we're just taking the paint down. And we'll pull it down the stairs. And again, a bit more grey, a little bit more white. just come forward a little bit around the rocks, top of the rocks. We'll keep the bottom of the rocks dark. We shall be adding our lovely green to that a bit later. We're just trying to highlight all the stones now, and just by adding a lighter tone of grey, that's exactly what's happening. So it's all the edge of the stonework. You just want to pick out the edges and leave the rest a dark grey. Hello, long stripy scarf. Right, a bit more grey, and again add a little bit more white, and we just keep on working around top of the rocks. Like I say, you're not really going to see the back of this miniature because we'll have the webbing on there, but we will add paint. There's no excuse not to paint the whole miniature. A little bit more white into the grey there. It's got the top. There we are. Thank you for subscribing, Crypt Monkey Studios, and congratulations to Dawn for becoming an affiliate on Twitch. Very, very proud of my goblins. There's lots of you now that have become affiliates. We got the Bull GM, we have Dawn, Carol's an affiliate, Gareth the Star Wars Man's an affiliate, we got Hamish is an affiliate. All goblins, all goblins. I am very proud that I've given many of you the inspiration to start your channels, or make you feel, give you the confidence to build up your channels. I am still terrified before I start a show, but what happens with me is once I actually start painting, I get lost in my painting, and that is a godsend because it's my painting that keeps my sanity. I kind of forget where I am when I start painting and I get into my miniatures. As you can see, I just crack on in and I'm away, and that's the beauty of the hobby. It's a stress relief. When I was a chef, I was the head chef of quite a few different restaurants and hotels throughout my life. And if anyone's been in the hotel or catering industry, you'll know how stressful a job being a chef is. And I used to paint my miniatures during my breaks. I used to be like live-in positions in these hotels and stuff. So in the evenings and after my shifts, I would paint miniatures just to unwind and de-stress. Still didn't work though. I absolutely love catering. I love food, but it was service time was so stressful. And of course, being in a position where you're in charge of a kitchen, that is twice or three times more stressful. You've got to run your brigade of chefs, make sure they get the food out on time. You've got to order your foods in. You've got to set up everything, menus every day. Oh, it was a beautiful job, but very, very difficult. And that was my job for 30 years, 30 plus years actually. And it's also why Scorpio and me are a little bit overweight, just a tiny weeny bit overweight, because we like to eat. Yes, yes. Mint Oreos, yummy. Okay, carrying on before I can hear a knock on the door and Claire's trying to kill me. Okay, a little bit more grey. We're just going to do one more highlight with the white, and then we'll move on to the rest of the miniature. So adding a bit more white. If you can see here what I'm doing, I don't have to the camera's not actually showing the tissue. That's great. Okay, all I've got is grey, and all I'm using is my stone grey, and I'm just adding white. I'm making it lighter and lighter, and then we're just adding that to the tips of the rocks here. So we don't need a lot more. We're just tiny little edge, and that should about do us for what we need here. And then we can move into that green. Okay, we're just making sure the highest areas of the miniature have got the most light. Like I say, we will be covering this with webbing in a moment after we've added the paint. I just want to hit some areas with our brightest light. Now remember, I am still mixing grey with the white. It's not pure white. If we use pure white, it's going to be too bright. So we still are mixing some of that grey in with the white, and we just highest areas, top of the head there. There you go. And we just bring that down a little bit, and that should be about us, I reckon, for the grey. Now we can start adding some green. So I'll give the brush a wash. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to get some greens on the palette. We're going to start adding those greens. Okay, I'll put you over there. And we're going for some dragon green, which is a very, very dark green. And we have some cat's eye green, which is a beautiful green. Very bright, but it's good for mixing in with the darker colours, just to make them a little bit brighter. Okay, pokey stick. Good, good, good. Yep, so that's that one. A little bit of the cat's eye green now. There you go, beautiful. Okay, there's our paints on the palette. Just dry the brush off a little bit more. Now I think we'll actually go for a smaller brush now, because we're going into more of the detail of the miniature. And again, I'm using another Game Master dry brush. It's a little bit smaller, but it will do the job perfectly well. I just need to change my tissue. I'll fold that across, and we're going straight into the darker green. And we can just work our way around all the deepest areas with our green now. And we just poke that in, going around the little catacombs and all the areas around the bottom of all the miniature. So we just follow all the darkest areas, even around the stones, and we're just adding that. Again, just adding it to the bottom. So we're leaving the top, everything on the top is still grey, but we're just adding this green, sorry, to the bottom steps. So it's just like mould and going around. There we are. It doesn't take long for a miniature to start looking fantastic once you add a little bit of paint. I mean, just by adding that grey and this green, it's already coming to life. The whole miniature is really starting to pop, and this is when it gets exciting, because you know that it's looking nice, and it really does make you feel happy when you've created something like this yourself. So I would recommend anybody to try making their own little models, their little dioramas or gaming boards, because it's so much fun. And like I say, all I've done with this is I bought some air drying clay, and we've just made it just as simple as. I'm very happy you all are enjoying my little videos, and I want to thank everybody that's followed and subscribed. It really is amazing. I mean, I'm only streaming for 2 hours a week. I will be doing a brand new show once a month with Gareth, the Star Wars man. We shall be painting Star Wars Legion, Warhammer 40k, but mainly Reaper miniatures on the show. And it's just going to be once a month, but it's going to be two painters chatting away about our lives and our painting, and just seeing how two different painters paint the same miniature. Because what we'll do is we'll paint the same miniature on each show, and it'll just be a way of showing how two different artists have two different ways of painting the same miniature. So I think that'll be great fun to do. And of course Gareth is an awesome guy, so that helps. But that's going to be once a month. We haven't decided on the date just yet. We're still working out how we are going to do all the cameras, because we want to have 4 cameras, of one of me and Gareth and one of what we're going to paint. So we're still trying to work out how we can do all that, because this Twitch thing is still all new to me, really. So it does take a while to get used to all this stuff. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start adding some lighter green now, so it's a bit more mouldy. And we're just going to just little bits extra around the miniature. Just going over the dark green where we were, but just in parts, so it just kind of highlights those dark green areas a little bit more, makes it a little bit more mossy. That doesn't sound too good. Michael gets me to bed late and Gareth keeps me up all night. Oh dear. Okay, so just adding some more green here. Okay, and a little bit up here, just around the edges. Okay, right, let's get back here. Let's get back to the main center stage of the miniature. I'm going to wash my brush. Now we're going to start adding some brown ink wash. And we're going to be using a different ink wash today. I'm going to be using some Army Painter Strong Tone, which is very similar to the Agrax Earthshade. Now remember, when you're using ink washes, just because they're very liquidy does not mean they don't need mixing. In fact, you're finding probably need mixing more. The pigments in the ink wash actually fall straight to the bottom of your pots. Okay, so brown ink wash time. So I'm just going to put this onto my palette. Now it's a very dark ink wash, so we're going to be using my on-off technique with the tissues. It's a very fast way of painting, but it gives a beautiful effect. So what we need now is what we got here. I don't want that. I want a nice big brush, nice big juicy brush. I'm going to use the actual old shade brush by Games Workshop, which is looking a bit old and worn now. But what we need is a little bit of kitchen towel, and this is how I apply my ink wash. Now it's not going to be everywhere, but it's going to be in stages. But what happens, it gives color tone to all my rocks, and this is what we're after. So making sure you're not overloading the brush, because this holds a lot of ink wash. We just go and add the ink wash to certain parts of the miniature, and then take it away, leaving a nice effect to my rocks. And we're just dabbing it on and then taking away the excess with my tissue, and it'll leave a nice effect to the rocks. And we do that all over the rocks. No, not everywhere, just in certain places. It just really gives a lovely effect to what we're up to. Now, as you can see, this area here in the back, we don't need to do much at all, because we're going to be adding that webbing, and we'll get to that in a little while. Won't be long. It's the webbing from the pound shop, which kind of makes the miniature. It's a great little effect to add to all your gaming boards, and it's very, very cheap to buy the webbing from the shops. Especially now Halloween is coming up, all the shops will start stocking the webbing, so now is a great time to stock up and get all your webbing needs in. Okay, so we're just adding that brown all over. And we'll do a little bit on the back here. Just here. Yeah, you take care, Gareth. Talk to you soon. Okay, so we'll just get that on there, and it's looking great so far. Okay, so that's about all I want to add for now. If I want to add more later, I can add more later. And this is the thing, sometimes you can overdo it, but I find using minimal colors can actually work to your advantage. So we've used black, grey, green, and we've added a little bit of brown, and it's just given a lovely effect to all those rocks. So it's actually looking very, very nice, and it's all kind of working well now. Okay, so now we have a tiny bit of brown. We got a treasure chest. We got a little treasure chest that I added to the back here. So we're going to use some wood stain brown and just quickly give that a little dry brush. And we are going to add a tiny bit of this wood stain brown to the little matchsticks around the base, and then we can add our webbing. Also, what I'm going to do, I got the brown there. While we're here, I'm going to add a little bit of gunmetal. Now the gunmetal is for the metal holes just there. And let's give that a mix first, so we can just quickly get that done. Also, I can add this gunmetal to the treasure chest around the metal parts of that treasure chest, because we want to get all these parts painted before we add that webbing. We've got a little bit of silver, gunmetal silver there. Okay, so let's move over to the back there. You just see the chest. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly go over with the brown with the dry brush. Just to pick out the actual chest. And we're going over all those little matchsticks, just a tiny little bit, just hitting the tops of the matchsticks. That's all, just so it kind of gives off a little bit more wood and gets rid of the grey dry brushing that we had on there earlier. So that's simple as that. Okay, so all we need now is we go into the gunmetal. And for the gunmetal, we're just going to use an ordinary brush and just slowly add this on. We're going to take some of the paint off the brush as well, and we just go over the areas where the grey has gone onto those pillars. So very simple. We don't need to fully paint them, we just want them to look totally worn. Because what I'll do is I shall be covering these with a black ink wash once they're dry anyway. It's just to show a tiny bit of metal coming through. Now also, that's a wood beam going down, so what we'll do is we just add a little bit of brown onto the edges of this black here, just to give a hint of wood. And the same on the other side. Just a tiny bit of brown, and that's all we need. And it's just to give a tiny bit of colour over the black, so it shows up like a little bit of wood. Okay, now we're going back into the gunmetal, and we'll add a tiny bit of silver to that chest. Now the chest is old, it's manky, so we can just do this very quickly. Let's see if we can get in camera shot. There's the chest, and we'll just quickly go over the metal areas. And that's all we need to do. We just need to give a hint of metal, just so you can see the chest in the background. Okay, so that's our chest done. That's all our metal done. I think, here we go. I forgot all about the little eggs. Okay, I'm going to show you the eggs. Quickly get the eggs. We got, what time are we doing for time? Yeah, we can do this. We can do this. Right, for the eggs, I'm using Vampiric Shadow. This is from MSP Paints. And what we're going to do is just quickly go over those eggs. These are the egg sacs. I'm just going to add these here. Just get a little bit of paint on, not too much. Once that's dry, that will have a black ink wash added. I made these little ones here at the front. I made these ones out of the clay. So we're just following them down. And there's one more over here. And of course we've got the guy at the top here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of the paint off here, this brush, and I'm going to just go down and leave the black behind. So this is our webbing here. So we're just going to, so he's just hanging there. This guy is so pissed off at the moment. Let me down, I don't want to be eaten. So we just quickly add some paint to him there. And we just follow that up. We can just go over quickly, just a little bit of highlight to the webbing. Again, that will have a black ink wash which will bring out all the details. Let's just take that down a little bit more. There we go. Okay, how are we doing? Okay, so we got our little egg sacs. Like I say, once that's dry, we'll be adding black ink wash to them, and then we'll be going over with white, just to give a little highlight to each one of those. Okay, let's see now. I think we shall add the webbing now, because this could take a little bit longer than normal. So what I need to do is make a little bit of room. So what we'll do is we'll move that to the side a little bit. I shall move all these pots. In fact, I'll put the lids back on these pots. Okie dokie. That's not the lid for that one. That must be that one. There we go. Okay, let's get this out the way. Get my little palette out the way. And move this over here so I can actually show you what I'm going to be doing with the, excuse me, I've got a little pair of scissors here. And this is the webbing you get from the little Halloween shops. This is spider webbing, and it says on the back here, the same web used by professionals for TV and movie special effects. Yeah, right. Maybe for cheap ass Doctor Who shows back in the 80s they might have used this. Okay, so it's very simple to use. What we do is we just take out some of this cotton from the bag. Okay, like so. Now, the more you stretch it, the better it becomes. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to snip off. I'm just going to cut through a few bit here. There we go. So I'll put the bag out the way. Now, with this webbing, the more you stretch it, the more translucent it becomes, the more spider webbery. You're trying to get rid of all those. Oh, it's gone luminous. Let me turn my exposure down so you can see this. There you go. So inside this webbing you have these little fixed strands. So what we're trying to do is just pull them away and make it into more of like a cotton, like so. And you just keep on stretching, keep on stretching, keep on stretching to however you want it. Now, this stuff is absolutely amazing to add to your bases. So what we're going to do now is make a mess. So we'll keep that there. Now, as you can see, I've added all these matchsticks around, and I put that into the clay. And this is perfect for what we need, because all we need to do now is we can hook this over just for the time being. And what we can do now is we can start pulling all this cobwebs and stretching it out, and we can use those matchsticks as a lovely little grappling hook, and this will hold our webbing in place. Now we don't want to overdo it with the webbing, we just want to give that look of webbing going around our miniature. So what we're doing is just going around our little matchsticks. I'm going to cut this off here. And we're going to just pull that around and just add that to the base. What we'll do is we'll add some little drops of super glue to our little matchsticks, and that will hold the spider web in place. We can just hook this over and then pull it across, hook it over, and just blend it in with the actual miniature that we've got. Okay, so we've got a tiny bit more. I think that actually this will stretch. Yes, perfect. What we'll do is we'll carry on stretching this. I don't know if you can see okay. We're going to keep on stretching this down. Keep it going and keeping it going. And we can hook it on this other matchstick here. There you go. And I've got another one there. So we can have the final stretched, beautiful cobweb just hooked over this bottom little matchstick here. And there we are, absolutely awesome stuff. So what we've got there is we've got a beautiful webbing added to our miniature, and it just improves it 100%. And like I say, we can just glue a little bit of super glue added to certain places, just to keep that webbing nice and tight, and you've got yourself a perfect little diorama. And it just really does work nicely. Now what I'll be doing, of course, I'll be painting up the little miniatures, and we'll have them inside here. So we've got the spider cave, and lots of spiders going everywhere. But this, like I say, this item that Sculptor got for me, you can get this spider webbing. I mean, Halloween is coming up now. You've probably all seen this or tried it yourself. But as you can see, to actually add it to your miniature, it just looks absolutely fantastic. But the key is to make sure you keep stretching it. You want it as thin as possible. So you want to stretch it so it's really fine. And you want to get rid of all these nasty little lines in there, so you just keep on stretching, and it'll get finer and finer, and the more you stretch it, the more it'll look like a fantastic little spider's web. Okay, so just to finish off for today, we'll get those eggs added, a little bit of black ink wash to these eggs here. I'll give you another little quick 360 of what we've done so far, and as you can see, I'm really happy with this. Like I say, I will finish it off after the show and do a 360 of the completed miniature. I will probably glue a little bit more of the webbing going around here, but I won't glue it now. I shall glue it when the show ends, so that's not an issue. But as you can see, adding those little matchsticks into the clay, it really helps, because that gives something for the spider web to adhere to. Like you can see here, it's just nice to be able to wrap them around, and that works really well. Okay, so I just got a little bit of black ink wash. Now, if the Bald GM goes and starts his show, I can raid him in about 5 minutes. Just using some nun oil. And we just add the nun oil to the little parts here. Oh, we've also got to do the skulls. Now, for the skulls, I'll be using skeleton bone. So I'll be painting all the skulls in skeleton bone, and I'll just be going over those with a brown ink wash. So I'm just adding some black now to the top of the little silk cocoons. And once that ink wash is dry, we'll just give a little highlight with some lighter white. Just let the ink wash go into all the little things. I'm going to do the same with this guy hanging up here. We'll just add that black to him as well. That'll bring out all the details on the miniature. Okay, what we'll do while we're waiting for the roller GM, we shall add, I'll do the skeleton bone quickly just to finish off these little minis. So it doesn't take long to make yourself a little diorama, like I say, the finished effects, just by adding simple cheap items like the spider's web, improves your miniatures so much, and it's great fun to use. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to quickly go over the skulls I got dotted around. So just adding a little bit of skeleton bone to the skulls. And there's a few little bones lying around at the top here. Now I have still got some wet patches, so there's certain parts I cannot paint just yet because it'll run into the paint, so I can't go over there because that's still damp. I can see another skeleton there. There you go. And there we are. Absolutely fantastic. So that's all I can show you for tonight.